talk to y'all? Okay.
I mean, obviously, you know, he still has to wait for test results here, but the board do not.
The first one came back. That's good.
He has a, but with the way that JJ's been able to manage this thing, in the back specifically, in the past, does that give you a little bit of confidence in the way that?
Yeah, he knows. Usually with JJ and most players, especially when you've had them a while, you can kind of tell from their body language and their face. And he's got a pretty good face about it. He knows. Actually, he was reaching for something, a little awkward angle, right at the end of one of his workouts in the off season. Just felt it grab a little bit. What happens, you know, the muscles kind of do things to keep you from doing something you shouldn't do. We got an idea what we're dealing with, and it's nothing, you know, that we haven't managed in the past. And heck, he wasn't going to play before March 5th anyway. I told Richie if everything checked out well, when can I expect him to be on the field playing? And it's not that long after that, so nothing's in jeopardy. In fact, you know, as soon as we get this last test in, the one they had to inject dye on, that one came back pretty good. And you know, I'm not going to say I'm not that concerned about it. When we get this other test back, I'll have a pretty good feel what we're looking at. I just don't want to jinx this by getting ahead of it, but so far so good. It's just something we want to take care of and not slow play, and then a week from now we start doing these tests. Let's just get it done now so we know exactly what we're dealing with.
When did he alert the club that this was bothering him?
About 3 or 4 days ago, I think. Unless he had a conversation with Richie I didn't know about. He did it right before he came down. I'm sure flying, you know, back and forth didn't help it.
So when he starts doing baseball activities again, because he's a position player, I mean, would it be like within the week that he gets into games?
I think so. You know, I got a date from Richie and the doctors that if everything checks out with a second test, when we could expect him to be playing in a game, which means he would be. So, you know, let me get this last test before I start putting dates on it. But, you know, plenty of time, plenty of time.
I know no one likes the extended spring training, but is this kind of a good thing that you have this amount of time to work with?
Those are the good parts of it. That's why I think Richie, those guys, not that they're always proactive, but they want to move quick. Sorry, here's what we're dealing with, and here's the time frame. Because, you know, something like this cropped up, you know, middle of March, you'd have a little different issue. So it's, you know, right now, barring the third test, coming back something negative we're not foreseeing, then it's when and not if.
And you feel like you've got shortstop cover to where you don't
Manny,
go out and
I just went over Manny's schedule down here. You know, Ryan and Robert, and we got some guys over. We're in good shape. Yeah, I was doing Manny's schedule. I got to do Wellington's and Jonathan's and Adams. I got a feeling they'll all kind of fall on all the same days. I was talking to Manny today. You know, he's leaving here on the 6th. Actually, the workout's the 5th's the last one. And I said, man, you know, we're playing Dominican on the 7th. Why wouldn't you just stay here? He said, let me think about that. I think they probably got a meeting over, where they go, Miami? Where'd they go? Is that where they meet up? Anybody know?
That sounds right.
play in Miami.
I'll bet they've got like a meeting, get together over there on the 6th. He's going to have to head right back. Now, he may not play in that game, I don't know.
Is there a rule that would stop him from playing against the Dominican WBC team when he's not playing for the U.S. team?
What now?
If that's the Dominican WBC team.
No, I was talking about just stay here and play for the Dominican when they get here.
Play for them.
Yeah, he's going to play for them if he plays. He won't play for us.
Buck, everything else health-wise, check out well today?
Good with the pitchers. Daryl had his young child had some challenges. He didn't, you know, I knew he wasn't going to be at the meeting last night. I was talking to him. Everything seems to be all right at home now. He feels good about it. You know, JJ had that test over in Tampa, St. Pete, and drove all the way back to make the meeting last night. Brock had the arbitration hearing yesterday and drove all the way back. That's pretty impressive. A lot of guys wouldn't have done that. Went well last night. Everybody was there.
You happy for Brad?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
First impressions of the overall day, Buck?
Let me go back to Brad first. They,
I mean, obviously.
oh, I know
he was
this.
gonna be fine either way, but he's a happy
The
player.
arbiters, they won't be with this process again next year, trust me. That's how it kind of works. I think they went all players this year, those two people. They won't have a job in the future. Yeah, great process. How would I feel about what?
First day, whole squad workout, the energy of the team?
Good, good. Everybody, left the building last night. Good spirits carried over today, and it's tough because usually, if we didn't have the facility we had today, we wouldn't have been able to get some things in with the pitchers because it overlapped because we weren't able. We need 5 days to cover team defense with the pitchers before the players get here, which usually happens. Well, now it's 3, and we're not going to turn them loose till we cover everything, so we had to use the small diamonds and rotate the fields, but we used every field day and every part of it, the half field, the cages, and we were able to kind of camouflage what, and got everything covered we need to get covered. Not many facilities could have withstood our needs today.
You've had a couple rounds of bullpen sessions with pitchers.
Mhm.
I saw you doing some team defense with pitchers and catchers and stuff like that. What are your early impressions of Wellington in terms of, the kind of, veteran presence that he can kind of be here?
I was talking to Frankie about him, Dave Pena, who knows him well. Said, like, you're really gonna like. He came up to me today about the inter-squad games and said, hey, I want to catch every guy I can catch. We're getting ready to sit down, talk about him between now and time he leaves, but he wants to see who's pitching in those 2 inter-squad games and see if we can match up with guys he needs to see. He was talking out there, the hitting part of it. It's not that he doesn't worry about it, but, his whole focus here is the catching part of it and getting to know the pitchers. You can tell he's really seeking them out, and, I know they've been real impressed with him.
In terms of, obviously a guy like him who gets certain stuff from seeing a guy stuff during bullpen and stuff like that, but the learning curve, or the learning process for him is an extended one and even deeper, right? Because there's a different intensity to the games once the game starts.
Oh, yeah.
Even when the season starts, it's going to be it's just going to be a
It's a process, but there's a lot of teams going through this. We're not, we're very fortunate to have Matt for a long period of time, and, it's not like all of a sudden you reach X day in spring training and he's got it. There's, like you said, there's catching the bullpen, there's relationships, there's inter-squad games, there's exhibition games, and there's some things that are only going to happen during the season. There's another level there, but, I'm confident that he can handle it.
What do you like about Seth Smith joining the outfield with Adam Jones and Mark Trumbo?
Seth is, I've said it before, he's a very trustworthy player, dependable, very consistent. He's actually, I think he and JJ might be the oldest guy we got here. This is not his first go-round. He knows where the finish line is, and he's a pro, he's a professional, and he'll fit us well. I was looking at the strength of interleague schedule again today. They got us again. I think it's like 5 years in a row we've led in the strength of schedule. I'm not paranoid, I'm just alert. I see 1 year, 2, 5. I think we're first in the American League again, strength of interleague schedule.
Because he played the Nationals every year.
Well, that's part of it. Cubs doesn't hurt either. And then, of course, I think there's 3 clubs in the American League because the National League because they get stuck with American League East. Pretty interesting. I don't know about interesting. Cincinnati's number 1, Pittsburgh's 2, St. Louis 3, Philadelphia 4, and we're 5. We're the
Those teams are playing each other.
It's not intentional, though. It was interesting. I was looking at the weigh-ins, the weights today. Adam usually comes in not heavy, and he loses because he knows he loses a lot of weight down here. He came in a lot. He is 36, 26. It's probably 15 or 20 pounds, about 15 pounds lighter than he was last spring. By design, too. Yeah, a little older. What do you think Santander weighs? Dan missed it by 15. He weighs 233 and a half. He's a big old boy. 6'2" and a half. Scope looked like he had lost some weight, and he's got about the same weight he had last year.